Let's show them there's another way.
In what way is that?
If we weren't here, we'd be in high school, joining clubs, trying out for sports.
Not me. I dropped out in the 4th grade to run drugs to support my nana.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of
high school table tennis.
But you will. At least for one afternoon when all of us play a game.
Hey everyone, we're rocking the hat today because, my Lock It In 2.0 hair, to be quite honest, is ghastly. Welcome everyone to my manga review of Ping Pong. This is a sports series written and illustrated by Taiyo Matsumoto, and it was serialized in Big Comic Spirits from 1996 to 1997. After reviewing Haikyuu last year, I asked people, for recommendations for more sports series because I really enjoyed that one, and overwhelmingly it seemed like people really wanted me to check out Ping Pong, so now I have. Let's talk about it. Ping Pong takes place in Japan and follows two high school boys, Hoshino, nicknamed Peko, and Sugimoto, nicknamed Smile. And much like most characters in the series, I will be referring to them as their nicknames. Now, these two boys grow up together. They were childhood friends, now they go to high school together. And while they are very different personality-wise, Peko being super loud and obnoxious and energetic, while Smile being super reserved and almost robotic, as some people describe him. In fact, his nickname Smile is ironic because he never smiles. But anyway, the one thing that these two boys share is a passion for table tennis. Or, of course, ping pong. And they are both valued members of their high school ping pong team. And you know how it is, these kids will be training hard, they got a bunch of tournaments to participate in, all that fun stuff. The thing though is that Peko, he's a bit full of himself. In fact, he pretty much sees himself as above everyone else. He thinks he's a god at ping pong. And to his credit, he is a very skilled player. But this leads him to, sort of slacking off sometimes, not always going to ping pong practice like he should be. And this unfortunately results in him suffering a massive defeat to a student from another school in a tournament. While on the opposite end of the spectrum, Smile starts to become recognized as the school's best ping pong player. With their coach, a retired star ping pong player himself, he decides to personally train Smile because he sees a lot of potential in his skill. So this leads both boys to going down very different paths, where Peko kind of loses his passion for the sport, and Smile is being groomed to become their next star player. And that's all I'm really gonna say. This is a very short series, so there's not much to this story. But yeah, it's just essentially a story about two boys with two very different personalities and how this sport, how ping pong affects their lives. And it was quite wonderful, I have to say. One thing that I think really works to the advantage of this series is ping pong being the central sport. The reason being, ping pong is not a very complicated game at all. A lot of sports series, no matter what the game is, they usually have to go into a good bit of time detailing and explaining how the game actually works, which is necessary for those type of series. But when it comes to ping pong, it's so simple that they really don't need to spend any time on teaching you how to understand this game at all. You kind of just pick up and go with the players. And the simple nature of the game really makes the matches here feel super streamlined. They don't take up much time, which is important because for a series this short, you're going to need a lot of time to focus on the story and characters. In just 5 volumes, Matsumoto manages to tell a really compelling narrative with a lot more thematic depth that you would usually find in sports series. A lot of great, endearing, sad, funny moments. A lot of that classic suspense you feel whenever there's a tournament going on in a series. Whether or not characters you love will make it, whether they'll fail, whether there will be some crazy twist. And while this definitely wasn't the most unpredictable series I've ever read, they still do manage to throw in a few surprises here or there. And it all wraps up in a conclusion that I found to be extremely satisfying. It is a very tight-knit story that only had to be 5 volumes, and I'm honestly glad it was only 5 volumes. As for the characters, there's a lot to like here. Peko and Smile are such fully realized people. You instantly understand who these people are, what their personalities are like, what their values are like. This connection you make with them early on really invests you in their story and seeing where they go. This series does span a long period of time, so you get to see them at their highs and their lows. And yeah, just seeing them their development throughout it, where they end up at the end, it was all super engaging and satisfying. And of course, they aren't the only characters. The coach who begins training Smile was also really interesting. You know, he has that like classic trope where, you know, he used to be a big shot, but he lost his groove, and now he sort of sees himself in Smile and wants to, you know, mold him to be a great player like he used to be. On Peiko's end, you have this old lady who runs like this local table tennis place. When Peiko loses his passion for the game and he's moping around, it's this lady who sort of becomes his mentor and tries to get him back on the right track. And there were also a lot of other interesting ping pong players. You get to see opponents like Wenge Kong or Kazuma, who, you know, they all prove to be very formidable foes, and they might show up a couple times throughout the series, and we get to see how our main characters progress against playing these people. Yeah, so much like the story, very tight-knit cast, but they all work super well together, and I really don't have any complaints at all. As for the art, this is a unique looking series. I was not very familiar with Matsumoto's art style at all, so reading this for the first time was pretty trippy. As you can tell, this guy goes for a bit more of a surreal art style. There is a lot of detail in the art, but it oftentimes is super exaggerated. It's sometimes super sloppy on purpose, and I think for the most part, it does really work in the series' favor. I do think that it can sometimes work against the series in the character design department. Some of them, to me, kind of look a bit unsettling, especially Peiko. Like, there are several panels of him that give me fucking nightmares. And there were some times where, like, characters seemed a bit off-model to me. Like, they didn't look like they did in previous panels. It just threw me off a little bit, but overall, still pretty good. However, where the art really exceeded my expectations was with the actual ping pong games. Holy shit. The story was great and all. Really loved it. But man, I was sweating reading this shit. Again, back to the game being so simple, it really just allows Matsumoto to go crazy with his art. He never has to explain anything going on. He can just show rallies. Just a constant back and forth of ping pong, which sounds like it might get boring, but the composition and flow of the art is so interesting. His surrealist art style works extremely well. He is constantly changing up how things look. Every single hit of the ball is so intense and visceral. The expressions on the characters' faces make you feel like you're really there. It's so fucking good. They even know that, like, these English editions, they just have the ping pong on the cover. They're like, yeah, I mean, fuck it, this shit's amazing. So yeah, I really have nothing but overwhelming praise for ping pong. I expected it to be good because, you know, the series has obviously been around for a while. Lots of people talk about how good it is, but I am pleased to say that my expectations were fully met, and I cannot recommend this one enough, and I'll of course be giving it a 10 out of 10. And if you want to check it out for yourself, all 5 volumes have been compiled into 2 omnibuses from Viz Media. They are a bit on the expensive side, but these big pages and the quality is so fantastic, I would absolutely recommend it. There was also an anime that came out, I believe directed by Masaki Yuasa. I hear fantastic things about the adaptation. It's definitely something I want to check out soon. And yeah, there we go. That's my review. For alternate recommendations, again, this is a case where I haven't really read anything like Ping Pong. Haikyuu was the only other sports manga I read, which I also love, but it's very different in its style and tone. So I guess it's your turn to recommend me some more sports series. I guess you have an idea now of the type of stuff I like in these, so please let me know, and hopefully I'll get around to more soon. You don't have to bother with Slam Dunk though, I know about that shit, I'll read it at some point. And there you go. Thank you all so much for watching. You can leave your thoughts on this series and this review in the comments down below. As for what's next, well, there are some series ending very soon that are gonna need some attention. So I think we'll be getting to those next. I'll see you guys then.